Hi there everyone, welcome back to Infinity Drones. Today we can take a look at what has changed in the DroneHacks application and also what you really need to know before updating the firmware of your drone. First off, let's first explain what the DroneHacks is to the guys out there that are new. DroneHacks essentially is a tool that you can use to unlock your drone, so remove the no-fly zones, remove the altitude limits, as well as put your drone into FCC mode. Other tools that are available is to change the parameters of the drone. So for example, you could change the descent speed from 3 meters per second to 6 meters per second to make it faster, and so forth. Obviously, all these changes and stuff that you're going to do will be done at your own risk. It's not covered under warranty, so please proceed with caution. Me, on the other hand, I'm a huge fan of the DroneHacks application, purely because it unlocks my drone so that I can fly where I know I'm safe and flying responsibly. Now, for those of you guys that are new to the DroneHacks application, what you need to do is you just need to go to DroneHacks. So you can just type in DroneHacks into Google. This is my caps lock is on, and you're going to find the drone-hacks.com page. Once you've opened it, you're going to find the landing page. Now, this is extremely important, okay? For all of you guys that already have the DroneHacks hack on your machine or on your drone, and for all the new guys, when you open the screen like this, the developer has made it incredibly easy. Everything you need to know is on this page. Yes, we are going to go through the other tabs at the top here, but look at this screen, and this is very, very important. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll down and show you guys exactly why this is very, very important. Okay, so very simple page to get to, and as you scroll down, you're going to see the current state. So is it currently online? Yes, the hack certificate server is online and so forth. The latest version that you can get is all over here as well. And here, the question I get asked in my videos, comments all the time, is what version of the DJI Fly or the DJI Go 4 app should I use? In this case, you can see the latest supported versions as well. Now, if you are going to proceed and buy the license, there is some additional offers available as well, but we're not going to go into that much depth today. If you scroll a bit lower, this is the part which is incredibly important. Okay, so here you guys can see the news section. Okay, this is the updates. So essentially, the new DroneHacks application is version 1.24. And this supports the Mini SE as well as the M210 V2, and you'll notice that there is another update as well that supports the M300 as well. So there's some major updates that's just been released. However, you guys are going to see that there is this section over here. Do not update the firmware for the Air 2 Pass 01.01.0610 and the Air 2 02042040, and if you are flying the DJI FPV drone, do not go past 01020000. The reason for this is that the mod will not work if you are on a firmware version that is later than this. Okay, incredibly important that you guys understand this. Okay, now there's another firmware version that's running around. It's called for the Air 2, it's 0101.665. That is a version that essentially is going to block your drone from being updated. So please take care before updating your firmware, and I am going to show you guys how to check your firmware version before we proceed as well. Remember, your drone needs to be on the recommended firmware version before we can move on. But do not worry, DroneHacks application can take care of the whole firmware flashing for you as well. Okay, now if we scroll further down, you're going to see a few interesting things down here. Okay, so here is if you need to understand how the no-fly zone and altitude limit removal is going to work. All you need to do is just open a new tab, and you're going to see that DroneHacks will take you through the whole explanation of how it works. Okay, so for these drones over here, you need a custom flight controller. Now, this is not a problem. DroneHacks has all of the information there for you, but you just need to flash it to your drone's firmware as well. So it's on top of your drone softwares on the drone itself. Next, the unlock certificate, which we all prefer to use, is for these drones over here. And this is great because you can turn it on and you can turn it off, essentially. So your no-fly zone, the altitude limit, you can essentially turn on and off in the app as well. Now, if you are in India, these drones will also be able to go to the 500-meter limit that you set out there. Now, we can scroll down and you can go through the unlock certificate, the custom flight controller, the India hack, and you can read more and get all of the information you require. But since 90% of us will be on the unlock certificate, I'm just going to scroll down and show you some important steps over here. The first thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that we have DJI Assistant 2 for Mavic. Okay, this does not matter what drone you have. You have to download and get DJI Assistant 2 for Mavic on your machine, and you can just download that off the DJI website itself. Now, we need this to have the correct driver versions on the machines. The DroneHacks application will work with and detect your drones without any issues. Now, if you are going to go through the whole process of understanding how it works, you can understand, here's how the certificate is going to work. With the unlock certificate, you can get rid of the altitude limit, of course. Now, we need to understand and stress something as well here. You must use a Windows 10 or Linux machine. So everyone that's asking, does this work on Windows 7, XP, and those machines, or Mac? It does not work on Mac or on anything older than Windows 10. Okay, so please make sure that you download DJI Assistant for Mavic for the correct operating system and that you have it installed on your machine. You do not need to open it, okay? You do not need to run DJI Assistant 2 for Mavic, you just need to install it. And if you have installed it and you have opened it, just to take a look at what's going around, because let's face it, you can use DJI Assistant 2 for Mavic to take a look at the firmware version of your Mavic 2 if you do have a Mavic 2. But in our case, you do not need this because we are going to use the DroneHacks application to take it further from there as well. So the unlock certificate is available for the following drones over here as well. This is most likely the drones that most of you guys will be using. Otherwise, there are other tools like DJI Superpatch, which is free. However, the DroneHacks application has a very nice, easy to use, understandable interface that makes it basically impossible to screw it up. So only DJI core boards are going to be used here. This is original stuff, so do not change the core board. I think NLD does that. Just ignore that. Okay, so once we go through the whole process, you'll be able to see, and just follow the menu here. So the Go For app, you'll see that there is an unlocking option for you to go through, and then you can toggle on the certificate on and off. As with the DJI Fly app, there is an unlock geozone option, and you can just scroll over there and you can enable or disable your no-fly zones from there as well. Sorry, your DJI certificate. Now, the same can happen and be applied for your DJI FPV drone as well. The process is slightly different. So please remember this page if you have any questions whatsoever. Now, when we move a bit lower down, you guys are going to see some tuning tips. Now, this is very cool. Please read this carefully, and this only for those guys that really need to make or want to make their drone a bit faster or change the parameters. For me, and I think probably 99% of you guys out there, you guys are just never going to touch the parameters on the drone at all unless you really want to make it faster. For instance, you can change the descent speed up to 6 meters per second, where the default is 3 meters per second. So that means essentially it's coming down double as fast. I would really take care when you do this. However, for those of you guys that really want to mess around with your settings, you are more than welcome to go and take a look at this over here as well. Okay, so that takes care of the no-fly certificate. Now, for those of you guys that don't know what FCC is, here's a nice tutorial on how this works as well. The signal hacking or FCC mode is for those guys that are not in the US. So for the rest of us that are in Europe and maybe different countries in the world, you are going to be stuck into CE mode. Now, CE mode essentially is just not as powerful as FCC mode. This is essentially the output that your antenna can make on the controller. So you want to have FCC mode for maximum signal strength and quality, and naturally range as well. Okay, so here you guys can see the whole instruction set of how this works. Please note that not all firmware versions allow this hack, so we are going to check the Birdmap to make sure that we go to the correct version. But once again, we're going to take you through the whole step. But for those of you guys that don't know what FCC is, FCC mode, or how to check in your app, on the Android, you can just see everything's on the DroneHacks application and the website for you as well. So what you need to do is just scroll down, and you guys are going to see, if you're on an Android device and you're on the DJI Fly app, the 1 kilometer line will be level if you're in CE mode. However, if you are in FCC mode, the 1 km line will be above the 90 dB line here. If you are on iOS, you'll notice that the line is physically going to change. And if you are in the Go4 app, you guys are going to notice that it's very similar to the iOS one, where the line physically just moves up. Now, if you have an older drone, like maybe a Spark, an Air 1, Mini 1, and so forth, if you are in CE mode, you are going to have 13 channels down here, and then you're going to have your 5 GHz channel. So basically, don't ignore everything over here. If you see anything higher, if you see 11, well, if you see 12 and 13, then you know you're in CE mode. In FCC mode, you're going to notice that your 2.4 GHz channels are going to be from 1 to 11, and your 5 GHz channels is going to be from 100 and something further up again. So that explains FCC mode for you as well. But if we scroll down a little bit more, you can notice that there is the drone hacking option over here for the parameter flash. And what we can do here is we can just open this one as well. Just take us through the whole course. I am going to break everything up into chapters, so don't worry too much about going through the whole process. As you can see, the DroneHacks application is going to give you an option to change parameters, where you used to have to go and modify the DJI Assistant application so you could reach the debug mode. That is not needed anymore. The parameter hacking is very simple via the DroneHacks application, and it's completely free. You do not need to pay or have a license or anything like that to be able to use this. But the other option, which is very useful, and I really do recommend you guys take note of this, is the firmware flashing. So with DJI Assistant 2, you must be online and you must download the firmware every single time. Me, on the other hand, my internet connection is not always as great or as stable, so sometimes the DJI Assistant is going to start downloading the firmware, and halfway through it's just going to take forever, or it's going to fail. Now in this case, you can just download the firmware using Dank Drone Downloader firmware, and you can get the firmware version and keep it stored on your machine. So whenever you need to reflash or update or anything like that, you can actually do it manually and completely offline. This is a fantastic service, and I really recommend that you guys do use this. If you scroll a bit lower down, you're going to see that the buy license options over here, and we are going to check the compatibility of your drone. So for instance, if you have a Mavic Air 2, you click on this one and it shows up all the current firmware available. You guys are going to notice that the recommended one is this one. We want to stay on the recommended firmware. And you guys are going to notice if I click on the firmware, it's going to say signal hacking is allowed via the Android app. That's the Assistant app, which I'll talk about in a bit. But you can go through it and you're going to see, okay, great, this version actually supports everything. That's great. We can move on. But the version that the latest firmware version that supports everything is the version that I highlighted over here. In this case, we have the correct firmware versions available over here of this version. We can have all the mods available. If we go to the next option, you guys need to see that the upgrade and downgrade is not possible anymore. So do not buy the license, okay? And do not upgrade to this version. This is the version I spoke about earlier. If you have updated to the latest version and skipped this one, so you went straight from 0610 and you went to 0670, then you can downgrade via the DroneHacks application to the correct version to proceed. So please guys, stay on the correct version. Take note of the Birdmap. I cannot stress how important it is to check this Birdmap. It's updated all the time. The developers assured me this as well. Now, once you've decided this is what we want to do, we can now move on to the next step. And what do we need to do? We need to buy a license, okay? So when you buy a license, I always recommend that you maybe just think about it, okay? The license is going to get linked to your drone, okay? So your drone's license or serial number will be linked to your DroneHacks license that you've purchased, okay? So when you buy one, and maybe later down the line, you may be going to sell your drone or give it to someone else or whatever. If you've sold your drone or given it to someone else, then that person will need to use your login details to make changes. Let's say they've updated the firmware and they need to load the mod again. Then they will need to log in with your DroneHacks account. So for that reason, I'm a huge fan of just going to create another email account, like another Gmail account. And when you go to the DroneHacks website, you scroll up, you go to account, and you sign up on a brand new account. Okay, and the reason for this is that once again, if you sell your drone, whatever, you can actually give them the login details with, and they can then log in and make changes to their drone, because they've purchased the drone with a license, of course. You cannot remove the license off the drone. It's fixed to the firmware. Now, at the top here, you're going to see that there's hacks. You can see signal hacking. That explains everything I've just explained down below. You're going to see the bird map. If you click on the bird map, it's going to take you to the bird map page, which is also gone to the bottom of the screen. It's exactly the same that I just explained. And you also have your how-to section. Now, this is very important, guys. The how-to section explains everything. There's videos done by Fly by Mavic. Very good YouTube channel to go check out. Please go check it out. And it takes you through the whole process of how to do the custom flight controller, the unlock certificate, and to check if you are in FCC mode, even load it. Once again, if you're going to do the how-to steps, you can just follow this guide and it'll take you all the way through. You have to have DJI Assistant there. If you click on it, it actually takes you straight to the download page on DJI's website, where you can actually download DJI Assistant 2 for Mavic. And all you need to do is pick your operating system and then download it. Once again, guys, the issue here is that this is a Windows version, and obviously if you're on a Mac, you're not going to have the Linux version available. Now, once you've done this, you can just install it, make sure your firewalls and antivirus is turned off, and then you're going to run the mod. Now, once again, the process is listed in front of you. Very, very simple. Just follow the steps and you should be fine. Now, if you get stuck for any reason whatsoever, just go to the help and support page and you can then easily follow the steps that are listed over here. Almost all the questions that you are going to have will be listed over here. So if you go through a place and the answer is not there, you still have the support option over here, and you can send a ticket in and they will respond back and try and assist you. But please do not send them information or mails if the answer is here already. Okay, there is also my YouTube channel as well as Fly by Mavic's YouTube channel, and you can ask questions there and just check if your answer has not already been asked before. Okay, now we've covered all of the options over here, and if you ever get stuck, remember the options that I've given you. Now, before we proceed, we want to obviously have an account. So you guys can just go click on the sign up option, and you're gonna fill in your information over here and click continue. Now, I already have an account, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to purchase a license so that when I open the DroneHacks application, I should be fine already. Okay, now you guys can see that there's a buy license option already. So if I click on the buy license option, it'll take me to an option where I can either purchase a DJI or Autel license. In this case, I'm going to click on DJI. It takes me straight to the bird map. So as you can see, it forces you into the correct direction so that you do not accidentally do something that you do not know. In this case, I've got a Mavic Air 2 and I am currently on this firmware version. And it doesn't really matter which firmware version you're going to be on, except if you're on this one, because if you're on this one, you're going to be pretty screwed. So on this version, you can use the DJI Assistant for consumer drones or the DroneHacks application and so forth to check what firmware version you're on. So before you purchase your license, okay, stop right here. And what we're going to do is we are just going to launch the DroneHacks application. We're going to hook up our drone to the PC, and then we're going to move on from there. Okay, now first, like I said, you need to click the download button, go to DJI, and then you've got your download button over here that's giving you the options available. So here you guys can see Windows 10 and Linux. Once again, guys, please do not use Windows 7 or 8. They are outdated. Please update your operating system. Okay, just click on this and you're going to get to your DroneHacks application. I've already downloaded the application, and if I run the application, it's going to pop up on my screen. And what I can do in the meantime is I can actually, if you see this on your machine, just click more info and click run anyway. On my side, I'm now waiting for it to open. I'm actually getting my drone ready as well. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to hook my drone up to the PC. Since it is the Air 2, there's no funny steps or anything like that. As you can see, DroneHacks is already going to start searching for a device. With your DroneHacks login details, you can log in on the far top, well, on the top left side, and it will then automatically log you in and check if you've got any license key is available on your name. Now remember, we just want to check what firmware version we are on, okay? So I've not purchased the license, I've not paid anything yet. I've hooked up my drone to the PC via my USB-C cable, and I'm just going to turn the drone on now, and then give it a couple of seconds, and let's see what's going to happen. It should take about 10-15 seconds for the update, or for the drone to connect to the PC. As you can see, there we go, connected, let's boot it up, and the DroneHacks application has already checked my firmware. So now I know I am on this firmware version, which is fantastic, and I can then move on. If I was on the incorrect firmware version, it's very simple. I can go to Flash Firmware, so you can see Flash Original DJI Firmware, and I don't have the right firmware yet, but all I need to do is just click on Download Firmware. It takes me straight to the Dank Drone Downloader page, and what I need to do is I can just go and select the version. So if I select it, you can see it's already pre-populated, and I can just click Download. Once you've downloaded the file, you just close this. Actually leave it open. All I need to do then is just choose the firmware, and you can just browse your machine to wherever you need to go, select the firmware, and then you can just flash it to your machine. Okay, so in this case, as you can see, everything is now running. I've got my assistant already installed, I've got DroneHacks installed, so it can take my drone properly, I've got my firmware, I'm ready to go. I do not need anything on this page anymore, unless you have not created an account before, then you need to create an account. Since I already have an account, all I need to do is buy a license. So once again, just buy a license. Click on DJI. I already know what firmware version I'm on, so I already know that my mod that I'm going to install is basically going to give me absolutely everything. I don't care about the stuff down here, so I'm just going to go straight to buy a regular license. It pops up on the right side, as you can see over here. So I'm just going to put in my little code over here. Get some discount and then proceed. Now, as you can see, it pops up like this. It's going to ask me where do I want to send it to. You can just fill in your information and you're going to purchase it. Obviously, I've already got an account, so I'm just going to log in. Now, remember, if you don't have an account, you can just sign up over here already. But in my case, I already have an account, so I'm just going to log in. Now, I've accepted everything. I've got all my details already filled in. You have to have a PayPal account. If you do not have a PayPal account, you can stop right now. It's not going to work for you. Okay. So as you can see, all my items are good. I'm just scrolling down to the bottom, and I am going to click Submit Order. It's going to take me to PayPal. So once you've clicked on the link, it's going to take you to this page over here where you can confirm the payment. In this case, I am making payment for the DroneHacks license. As you can see, I can just check everything. In this case, I'm just going to click Pay Now. And it is going to load the license key to my account. Now, please note again, right? Your account and this has got really nothing to do. You're just confirming payment over here. So I have now purchased it. It is now on my name. So what I can do now is I can go check if I've found an email to just confirm that I've received the item. So in this case here, you can see I've made payment. So DroneHacks has received my payment. So I just want to make sure everything is correct. Yes, everything is correct. And now I'm literally going to get a mail from DroneHacks, which says order has been confirmed, and it will tell you that you can move ahead. So yeah, I have now completed the process completely, and my order has been confirmed, and everything is now done. Okay, so if I'd like to check the status of my order, I can click on the email link, and it will take me to the process as well. So as you can see, everything is done, it's paid, everything is sorted. So it's loaded onto my DroneHacks account. Now, if I go back to DroneHacks, okay, let me just quickly open DroneHacks. Remember, my drone is now turned off. I am logging into my DroneHacks account with my email account and my password, and then I'm going to turn my drone back on again. Okay, now my drone is now booting back up again. Once again, this is going to take about 10-15 seconds. And once that's done, DroneHacks is auto detecting my drone, and once it finds my drone and there's no license linked to it, it's actually going to prompt me to link the license to my drone. As you can see there, it's just popped up, and what I want to do is I want to register this regular license to my drone. So there we go, that license I've just purchased is now linked to my drone. It's going to take me straight to the hacking page, which is exactly what I want because I purchased the license for a reason, and I want to enable FCC mode and I want to remove the no-fly zones, but you have to do them one at a time. If you do the FCC hack, it's going to take quite a while. In this case, I'm just going to click on hack. It's going to reboot quite a few times. You just click OK, and you're just going to wait. This is going to take, probably going to reboot I think 6 to 7 times, so we can just literally wait for this to complete. Now remember, putting your drone into FCC mode is just going to increase the output of your antenna, so your range is essentially just going to increase. Okay, so once this pops up, you can just close this if you want to, or you can just leave it open. You can just leave the whole process until DroneHacks tells you that it has been successful. Once that's done, we are then going to go over to the remove altitude limit. So let's just wait for this to complete. There we go. As you can see, it's finished it. So here you can see it says do not upgrade the firmware. If you upgrade the firmware, you are going to lose the mod. Okay, so if you have upgraded the firmware and it is supported, you can just run the mod again, but there is a chance that the new firmware is not going to support the DroneHacks mod, so please pay attention. Okay, there we go. Just going to restart my drone and it should be done. Okay, so just waiting for that to happen. It will automatically just restart. There we go. Back up again. I've not touched my drone yet, by the way. Just waiting for it to do its thing. And then I'm going to move on to the next one. So this, if you see this is just bad internet connection. Okay, so there we go. I've logged in. This will not show you if you are in FCC mode. Remember, we can go to DroneHacks application. Let me just get out of here. And remember, if you don't know how the FCC mod looks, you can just go straight to signal hacking. You can go into your app and you can look if FCC mode is enabled or not. If it's not enabled, come back here and rerun the mod. Something went wrong. Now I'm going to move over to the altitude limit. So I'm just going to click on that again. You can see the whole thing. Please, I cannot stress this enough. Please fly responsibly. All of us, we still want to fly our drones for a long time. Like 1 or 2 idiots that are going to do something stupid, and we're going to lose the ability to do so. Okay, so this mod, this altitude limit that you see over here is an absolute game changer for those of you that stays in mountains and stuff like that, where 500 meters is just a hill. It's not even close to a mountainous area. So please guys, take care when you do this. In my case, I do live in an area like that, so I am going to just run the mod. Okay, so this does not take 7 times or 8 times to reboot, but it is still going to reboot the drone quite a few times. Now, this whole process that you see over here is different for all the other drones. The Air 2 takes quite a bit of time to run through the options, but for instance, the Mini 2, the Mavic 2, all these other drones, they run through these processes a lot quicker than the Mavic Air 2 does. But do not expect the exact same experience. The process stays the same, but the exact same experience will differ. Now remember, while we've got this running, I'm just going to quickly go back. Remember, this is the FCC mod. If you want to confirm if your mod was successful, go to the NFZ altitude limit removal option, and you can just scroll down and you can see how it's going to look like in your app that you'll be using as well. So please just pay attention to that. If you get confused or not 100% sure, you can check out my YouTube channel. I will have links in the description below as well as cards popping up. However, there is great tutorials done by Fly My Mavic. Just type that into YouTube, subscribe to his channel. Great content over there regarding DroneHacks application, and it's going to take you through the whole steps as well. Okay, so let's go back to DroneHacks application. You can see my drone is rebooting again. I'm just going to give it a bit of time so that we can go through the process. there we go. As you can see, once again, it prompts you to not update your firmware, exactly the same as the FCC one, and then it also says that the hack certificate has been installed properly. Okay, guys, that is it. Okay, so if you really want to, you can go through the whole process. You can see it's going to reboot and make sure everything is fine. But if you really want to, you can log in and check into your DJI Fly app or your Go4 app and just go check if everything is working as we said it was. So remember, there is the FCC Mode over here. You can also go to the hacks page over here and just confirm that everything is the way it's supposed to be. And if you're not happy, to rerun the mod again. But if you are in the DroneHacks application, remember, we've now modded the drone. We can't see anything in the drone if it's modded or not. But remember, we just know that we ran this and we ran this. It cannot read the information from the drone itself. Now, if for instance you were on the incorrect firmware, remember once again, you can download the firmware directly to your PC and you can just flash the firmware straight from again. Okay, that's just as simple as that. You don't need DJI system or anything else. All you need is right here. If you really want to go and change the parameters, you can click on Hack Parameters and it is going to take you to the page that's going to show you what options are available. Now, as you can see over here, we are already at max altitude tilts and angles for normal parameter modes. If you really want to go change some of the parameters on your machine, you can actually go and take a look at the values that you see over here. So if your options are not available over here, you can click on the advanced option and you can, for instance, type in just send or something like that, and you can find the parameters. Like I said earlier in the video, you can find the parameters on some page. This is for advanced users only, so please take note. If you have made changes, you can always just click back to restore to default and move away from there. Me personally, I wouldn't recommend tinkering over here. Okay, guys, that is it. That is basically it, guys. If you find the video useful, please consider to like, comment, and subscribe. And also, please check out Fly My Mavic's YouTube page and support him as well. He's got much more in-depth options available here as well. But this is going to conclude the video for the DroneHacks update, as well as the whole process that is required from start to finish. Okay, I will put in the information in the video description, so if you want to know the firmware version and items like that, it will be available. Please make sure that you read the description. It is incredibly important because I am going to update that if there are any updates in the future. But with that said, thank you guys so much for watching.